Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this episode of the BRM Brown Bag. I'm your host, Suresh GP. What a way to start the BRM week. While I was looking at who should I have for my episode number 18, I wanted to reach out to a good friend of mine who has been a passionate BRM and has been doing some pioneering work for higher education as part of Purdue. So please join me in welcoming Leanne McGiveron for the BRM Brown Bag session, who's a director of BRM, who has kindly consented us to be a guest for this episode. Thanks, Leanne, for taking time, and I hope you're doing well and staying safe.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the invite.
So this episode is also commemorating the BRM World Week, and we really are honored to host people like you who are passionately giving back to the community. So ever since I met you at the BRM Connect a few years back, we have been having conversations around it. But let's, for the viewers, give us a bit of a background around your story of what made you to come into BRM and what's been a journey so far, so that the viewers will know about your history around what enticed you to the business relationship management space.
So I am, again, as you had said, director of BRM with the College of Agriculture, the IT organization. So I am in the technology function. So the department I'm in is Agriculture Information Technology. So the College of Agriculture at Purdue University. And we started on the BRM journey probably early 2015. It was something that the director at the time and department had felt that we were missing the potential. So in a sense, it was a gap. A lot of the faculty in the college just were unsure of the technology that existed across the campus, and that included even within the college. And so with conversations, decided to go down this route. Now, we didn't quite start with BRM in the beginning. We really started on the CRM space, which is really heavy in that sales area.
Right.
And we knew that that wasn't going to work. It was really about the relationship and doing that navigating, connecting. We understood that early on, but it took us a little longer to get to where we needed to go because of that. So when we did find the BRM Institute, and I can still remember taking that first certification course, it was like drinking water from the fire hydrant.
Right.
I knew that this was the right path, that it wasn't something that we were going to lean into hard as far as working with kind of that salesy feel with our faculty. Instead, sitting down, having conversations, building those trusted relationships. So when they had that idea, we could then work with them, look for the technology, again, not only in our college, but also across the entire campus. And once we had that and we knew that that was the right way to go, we just built from there. And one of the other things that I often talk about is even those first few months once I had the BRM team, we were still trying to figure out where do we bring the best value to the college and to our faculty. Our faculty are our business partners, by the way.
Sure.
And what we end up doing is spending a lot of space in what I refer to as the discovery space, really out front, looking for that emerging tech. So it's working not only with core IT services of the campus, but also looking for faculty in other colleges, such as engineering and polytechnic, developing emerging tech that can be applied in the College of Agriculture. Whether it's researchers working in the agronomy space, working in the microbiome space, let's say with food sciences. And so that is where we've really done a lot of the work. And that puts us out in front of ideation, which then allows us to really grab onto the potential of those ideas and move forward. And because of that, the last couple of years, we have some really exciting things going on. And they've looked to us to bring in use cases We have a new research data ecosystem that is being built with actually one of Mark Sullivan's, actually two of his faculty, that's really going to move the college forward. And that, I believe, is the strength, but also the potential of BRM and where we're really moving. Because at the end of the day, we're part of that equation.
Right.
We're not the equation, but we're part of it. And a lot of, we work with faculty that are trying to solve climate issues, feed the people, food insecurity. And so just to be part of that, that's kind of where the passion lies. That's, it comes back to that purpose thing.
Excellent. So, Leanne, in terms of the BRM program, when you actually started out building a program, I know that it would have not been much easier. It went kind of scramble around, putting all those components if you're doing it from scratch. So, whether some lessons learned in terms of building the program, you have been successfully running this program for a while now. So, any thought process for someone who's trying to build a program in their own organization?
Yes. So one of the things that we learned early on, because we're technology focused, a lot of us came from the technology space into this. And I think I know we had a tendency to spend too much time and too much focus on the tech and our technology partners. It's because it was easy, right? That's, the language, the customs, it's that, but it's also if you need something, contact me.
Correct.
And as a BRM, that doesn't work. So one of the things our friend Abraham Jackson coined for us is that not behind a desk.
Correct.
Is that out and about, always being proactive, but looking for opportunities. Again, the CIO at Butler University a few years back coined a phrase, engineered serendipity.
Right.
It's ensuring you're at the right place at the right time. So we go out and take advantage of a lot of seminars that are being done in the departments, looking for things, so on and so forth. But what we needed to do is focus our attention from technology to our business partners.
Right.
It is business relationship management. Technology partners are critical for us in order to get the work done. They are definitely, they are as important to the equation as our actual faculty and business partners.
Right.
But if you don't spend time with business partners, you really don't understand what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. It also, and I had been with the College of Agriculture for 20 years at that point. Yeah. A little less. And I thought I knew what the college was doing. And as we went out and about and did that exploration, that discovery space, I didn't know as much as I thought I did. I mean, I was still aware of things, but once you start really digging down, it's amazing the talent we have in the College of Agriculture and also some of the problems that they're trying to solve. And so one of the things I often tell people is ask people, where are you spending your time?
Right.
Are you spending your time where you're comfortable, or are you going out? Because it can be intimidating to sit across from your business partners. It's a different language.
Right.
You're unaware of interaction. Sometimes, excuse me, for us, it's even the science.
Correct.
These are extremely brilliant people, and it can be intimidating. Correct. So kind of lesson number 2 is you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Right.
You have to, and you do. And I think, but it does take time, and like a good year or so, but that's consistent, like doing it a weekly basis, walking into open seminars, being proactive with interacting with your faculty members and sitting down and learning. I mean, we'll never be scientists, researchers, even faculty that do instruction, because we also work with the teaching space, but that's not our job, right? But our job is at a high level, understanding what they do, but also understanding what their goals and outcomes are at. So those, and then what I always lead into in number 3, and what I talked about at the BRM Connect conference this last year was, we are successful today because going into this, I understood the basic ITIL approach of taking best practice, your organization, and then creating a good practice,
Sure.
right? So, because at the beginning, I was like many people, you want to take a framework and you want it one size fits all, it should work. And then you almost feel like you're trying to wedge it into a small corner. And so what we did was kind of took a step back and said, okay, we have all these frameworks.
Right.
And as that we went out and we were learning the business, things would start to come to the surface. And I can still remember one of the BRMs, after being out and about, came back and said, I have this faculty that's thinking about doing something.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Oh, I think that's part of value management. Wait, that's ideation. Okay, let's get ideation out and take a look at it. Now, the ideation framework straight out of the box isn't going to work at Purdue.
Good.
We're having to tweak it a little bit, but we can still use the essence of it and really where we want to get to.
Yeah.
So we do start with an idea document, but what we've done is we're actually breaking the value plan into 2 steps,
right,
to do just a general feasibility study and also a technology study.
Perfect.
And then based on that, you kind of collapse it, that'll be the value plan. And then as we go through governance or it's decided to move forward, then it'll move into a business case, so on and so forth. So being able to adapt,
right,
and understanding that it's okay. I think as I see new BRMs coming into the space, it's almost as if, well, I should just use it as is. And it's getting comfortable with saying, yes, there's a model out there. There's, again, a framework. Understand what it's trying to achieve, what the outcomes are of that.
right.
Take what works for your organization. But the key comes back to you have to know your organization and you have to know your business partners, right?
Correct.
And I think that's one of the hardest things to do. And I also think by better understanding your organization and your business partners, that will often move you from that tactical space into the strategy space.
Awesome.
Instead of worrying about that kind of day-to-day, where's a ticket, where's an order, you start having different conversations.
Excellent. I think you can actually spin around the whole time speaking about all the journey experiences to do that. And that drives me to the next point about, I know that you had a dedicated BRM being enrolled as a part of program, but was it in your plan to build BRM as a capability? Because as you start small to build a program, was your focus primarily to look at BRMs to do all the work as part of the whole business partnering exercise? Or was it also in your mind that, okay, I will start with the BRMs, but I want to build a capability? What was your thought and approach towards that long-term vision of making it more sustainable?
So again, remember in the beginning, we didn't have a name for it.
Right.
But what I did have, and again, people often hear is I had a directive.
Right.
And that was to bring the technology investment directly to faculty. We've tweaked it a little bit over time, but for the most part, it has stayed tried and true.
Right.
The one way we are meeting that directive is through BRM.
Right.
Is building those relationships, understanding our outcomes, and then navigating and connecting to. When we started out, it was going to be myself and one other BRM and potentially, and then there was also some heavy suggestion with somebody we were working with at the university had done some of this work before. Doug Foster, who's now CIO down in South Dakota, he was deputy CIO at the time, and he also suggested an administrative assistant.
Right.
In fact, suggested that we hire that first, but we delayed that. And at the same time, because we had such a good candidate pool, we actually hired 2 BRMs.
Right.
And then that next year we hired a BRM programmer, coordinator. Now, part of the reason, do we need more? Absolutely. Because since we work with faculty, we have a potential of 300 business partners.
Sure.
Here in the college, we're about halfway there. we focus more on those faculty as business partners that are more in the innovative, engaged space.
Sure.
A lot are content, and that's okay too. It's just because we're in that technology, emerging tech space. That's our focus. With COVID, we've taken a little bit of a hit.
Yeah.
Mark Sullivan, who is BRM out, but has graciously stepped into the interim support service manager role.
Right.
We're currently working on different options to move him back into BRMP or BRM because it's his passion. We had Crystal Domkowski, but she actually moved on and went into manufacturing in this space.
Right.
And so Brendan Reese has joined us. And then our program coordinator, Kayla Garganis, is that position still in the hiring freeze space.
Sure.
We miss that space.
No, I completely.
We not only miss her, but we miss the position because we were out of the office more than we were in, and she was truly our anchor.
Sure.
That made it all possible. So yeah, we still move on. COVID has affected us, especially as it continues to drag on, but we still look at opportunities to engage, have those interactions, continue to build those relationships. We're looking forward to getting back on campus, but it's been great to see what started out with a relationship and an idea has turned into some real work.
Yeah.
And projects that are occurring.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. I think the way you've put on your efforts to build in and make a difference and impact is important. So a couple of questions to kind of wrap it up. One of the question is do you see this trend about BRM in higher ed beyond Purdue, right? What's the space look like? Because I'm looking at is there a real reason why BRM should be there in higher ed? Do you see that trend happening? Is there a lot more adoption towards the space? Or you're being the guinea pig towards making that facelift to change?
So one of the things I always say is we look different than most higher ed programs. Do I believe BRM is needed at the enterprise level, working between like a technical BRM, working between the IT organizations and business services and HR, just like other corporations and companies out there? Absolutely. Right. Where I think the biggest gap is and the biggest opportunity is actually in the academy, in the college, because we have faculty that truly trying to move forward, and the way technology is impacting not only higher ed and research and and instruction, but also agriculture.
Right.
We're getting hit on multiple sides, and where do they go to? Okay. If they want to put sensors in the field, or if they have a field in the middle of nowhere and need data coming back real time, where do they turn to? Sure. And often they might turn to another colleague who knows another colleague at another university that knows another colleague and connects them. But sometimes there's a hit and sometimes there's a miss. Right. So with a BRM program, again, it's that navigating, connecting, it's getting technology partners, whether core IT services, which are still important, but also other faculty, or one of the spaces we're potentially looking at is even startups that are building this tech that can help faculty in research and even education. Because what we're seeing now is our instructors are starting to bring in the agriculture tech, so the ag tech and digital ag, into the classroom. Awesome. And so how can we shorten, plus architect early, having a technical partner in there closer to the idea, so that they're helping them architect, so when it comes time to implementation, it works. Yeah. And then they continue on. We had a situation this past spring where we had a faculty put in sensors in a remote location and we got them connected, and so made sure they got the right sensors, but it was also getting the data back. Right. And agriculture, Ag IT, the systems group, had a trailer, a portable Wi-Fi trailer that they modified to do what's known as LoRa networking. We moved it down there, and they had a 100-year flood that night, literally.
Oh my God.
But it's also BRM working and understanding and helping were needed, making those connections with faculty and with us, even their grad students, that they were able to actually move all of that tech from Southern Indiana to Northern Indiana, have it set up in 2 weeks and move on.
Right.
And getting the faculty getting what they needed. In fact, he's going to now expand his research this year to include additional data points. So it just shows you if you can get your technology partners in closer, but a lot of times faculty don't know where to start.
Okay.
And so that's that BRM. It's that navigating and connecting. It's the orchestration. It's the demand management. It's all those pieces. And so in higher ed, I constantly look at, as far as, I think there's one other program similar to us up in Minnesota, but that's it. And what are we missing out there to even move things forward? Is there a faculty member, a researcher somewhere that has that key to climate change?
Correct.
It doesn't know how to get connected to the tech. What if?
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And I think what should happen also is, as part of your work that you do with your faculty and technology business partners, how do we showcase the great work that Purdue is doing to the rest of the world? I think we all learn from getting inspired about this story, so that you never know, going forward in 2022 and beyond, you will have more higher eds jumping into this bandwagon and seeing the value of BRM, right? So my final question for this edition would be, what do you think the future of BRM would be going forward, right? We are in this whole unprecedented situation. There's a lot of things talked about, the great resignation of things going around. There's a lot of hit and misses. So what do you think is the future for the BRMs in looking forward?
So I'll say the same thing I said at Connect.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know. Do I believe the future is BRM? Absolutely. Because as things speed up, and the need for speed in this space, especially the technology function,
right,
in order to make that happen, that's the BRM. That's the BRM role. That's the relationships. It's more than engagement. Yeah. Engagement is important because engagement helps build relationships. But what I also remind people every once in a while is that you can also disengage.
Yeah.
What I would like to see happen is more and more dedicated BRMs. I know here at Purdue, we're very fortunate that I have dedicated BRMs, but I think we also need to look at those positions out there that have the potential or are already doing some of the relationship building. Yeah. So I've inherited over, actually advocated for it. So I shouldn't say inherited. 2 teams through COVID with hiring freezes and that. And so I now have a support services team, and I have the academic IT specialists. The academic IT will still report into the departments, but some of the shared technology across all of the departments, we now have a manager that's going to be overseeing and helping coordinate some of that. So looking at those positions, understanding where the BRM activities are, where we need to bring that BRM mindset in, but also understand that there is a continuum between support services and BRM, and how can they work together, support each other, but also what do the relationships look like in all of those teams that they build with faculty and staff. And again, then how do we work together? And then in a sense, building a wider BRM capability. Excellent. That looks a little bit different, but is still meeting our directive and still doing the BRM work.
Excellent. Awesome. Leanne, it was a real pleasure talking with you as part of the BRM episode, and cannot start this BRM World Week with such a great conversation. I'm looking forward to have more conversation in the future. And thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you. Enjoy and thanks.